You ever wonder why some folks seem to age like fine wine while others struggle with every passing year? Maybe you've seen it yourself. Two people, same age, yet one is full of energy, still laughing, still moving, like they've got decades ahead of them, while the other seems weighed down by time itself. What makes the difference? Luck? Genetics? Not entirely. More often than not, it comes down to habits, small, everyday choices that build up over the years, shaping how we age. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. 5 golden habits that help you age healthily, practices that keep the body strong, the mind sharp, and the heart light. These aren't secrets hidden in some ancient book. They're simple, proven truths passed down through generations. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand them, but know exactly how to bring them into your own life, no matter where you are on your journey. Before we dive deeper, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. It always amazes me to see wisdom bringing people together from all corners of the world. And if you find value in these kinds of conversations, consider giving this video a like and subscribe. It's a small gesture, but it means a lot, not just to me, but to everyone out there trying to live a healthier, wiser life. Now, let's begin. Aging well isn't about fighting time. It's about working with it. Time, after all, is undefeated. You can't stop the years from passing, but you can decide how you'll meet them. And the first golden habit, the foundation of healthy aging, is one that most people underestimate until it's too late: staying active every single day. Now, I'm not saying you need to be running marathons in your 70s or lifting weights like a bodybuilder, but here's what I've learned from the elders who've aged with grace. Motion is life. The moment you stop moving, the body starts to weaken, and once that weakness settles in, it's hard to shake. Think of it like an old car. Leave it parked too long, and what happens? The battery dies, the tires go flat, and the engine rusts. A body that doesn't move follows the same fate. But here's the good news. Staying active doesn't mean pushing yourself to the extreme. It simply means making movement a natural part of your day. Walk instead of drive when you can. Stretch in the morning to wake up your joints. Dance, even if it's just swaying to a song you love. Gardening, housework, chasing after grandkids, it all counts. The key is to never let your body get too comfortable with stillness. Now, some might say, but I've got aches and pains. My knees hurt. My back isn't what it used to be. That's exactly why you have to move. A body in motion stays in motion. The more you nurture it, the more it gives back to you. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, but you owe it to yourself to stay in the game for as long as you can. I once knew a man named Henry, lived to 98, still sharp as a blade, still cracking jokes. You know what his secret was? He never stopped walking. Every morning, rain or shine, he'd take his walk. If I can put one foot in front of the other today, I'll be able to do it tomorrow, he'd say. It's simple wisdom, but that's often the best kind. And staying active isn't just about the body, it's about the mind. Movement increases blood flow, keeps the heart strong, and even helps with memory. Scientists will throw all sorts of studies at you, but the elders have known this truth for generations. A moving body leads to a moving mind. But of course, movement alone isn't enough. The second golden habit? Feeding your body the right way. Now we'll get deeper into this in the next section, but let me leave you with this thought. Every bite you take is either fueling your future or speeding up your decline. A strong, capable old age doesn't start when you hit 60 or 70. It starts right now, with every decision you make about what goes on your plate. So here's what I want you to do. Pay attention. Over the next few days, notice what you eat, how it makes you feel. Are you eating out of habit, or are you feeding your body with care? Now that we've talked about movement, let's shift our focus to something just as important, maybe even more important when it comes to aging well: what you put into your body. See, here's a hard truth. Most people don't think about their diet until their body forces them to. The problem is, by the time that happens, the damage has already started. It's not about going on a diet in your later years. It's about building eating habits that nourish you for life. Because the food you eat today is either laying the foundation for strength or setting the stage for decline. Now, I'm not here to tell you to cut out everything you love. That's not sustainable. And honestly, it's not necessary. What I will tell you is this. As you age, your body's needs change, and your diet should change with it. When you're young, you can get away with eating junk, skipping meals, and not thinking twice about it. But as time goes on, your body stops forgiving those choices so easily. And the problem? Many people keep eating like they did in their 30s and 40s, even when their body is screaming for something different. So let's talk about what truly fuels a strong, healthy old age. First and foremost, protein. Most people don't get enough protein as they age, and that's a big mistake. Your muscles, your bones, even your immune system, they all rely on protein. Ever notice how some elders seem to shrink as they get older? That's muscle loss, and one of the biggest reasons for it is not getting enough protein. Now, this doesn't mean you need to start eating like a bodybuilder, but it does mean you should make protein a priority at every meal. Lean meats, fish, eggs, beans, lentils, nuts, whatever suits your lifestyle. Even something as simple as adding a handful of nuts or an extra egg to your breakfast can make a huge difference. And let's talk about one of the biggest culprits behind poor aging: sugar. Now, I get it. We all have cravings. But here's the thing. Sugar is sneaky. It wears down your body from the inside out, increasing inflammation, wrecking your metabolism, and speeding up aging in ways you can't see until it's too late. Ever notice how some people develop joint pain, brain fog, and constant fatigue as they age? A lot of that comes from years of excess sugar and processed foods. The good news? You don't have to cut it out completely. You just need to be mindful. Here's a simple rule of thumb. If it's processed, eat it less. If it's natural, eat it more. Whole foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, those are the things that give you lasting energy and keep your body strong. Now, there's one more thing that people don't talk about enough when it comes to aging well: hydration. Yes, something as simple as water can determine whether you feel young and energized or old and sluggish. And the truth is, most people don't drink enough of it. Think about it. As we age, we lose some of our ability to feel thirst. That means by the time you actually feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. And dehydration doesn't just dry out your skin, it slows down everything. Your metabolism, your digestion, your brain function, all of it suffers when you're not getting enough water. So here's a simple test. How often do you feel tired for no reason? How often do you get headaches, feel lightheaded, or struggle with digestion? You'd be surprised how many of those issues can be solved just by drinking more water. A good rule to follow? Drink a glass of water first thing in the morning before anything else. And if plain water feels boring, add a slice of lemon, cucumber, or even a pinch of sea salt for extra minerals. Your body will thank you for it. Now, let me leave you with this thought. Your diet doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be intentional. It's about eating with purpose, knowing that every bite is either working for you or against you. You don't need to follow a trend or give up everything you love. You just need to listen to your body and give it what it truly needs. And when you do that, you'll notice something interesting. Your body will start giving back. You'll feel stronger. You'll move better. You'll think more clearly. And suddenly, aging won't feel like a decline. It'll feel like a season of wisdom and strength. But of course, aging well isn't just about what we do with our bodies. It's also about what we do with our minds. And that brings us to the third golden habit: keeping the mind sharp and engaged. Because here's the truth. It doesn't matter how strong your body is if your mind starts to fade. And too many people let that happen without even realizing it. You ever notice how some people seem to stay mentally sharp no matter how old they get? They never forget a name. They always have a story to tell. And their wit is as quick as ever. Meanwhile, others start losing their edge, forgetting little things, struggling to follow conversations, or feeling like their mind is slowing down. What makes the difference? Most people assume it's just fate. Either you get lucky with a sharp mind, or you don't. But here's what wise elders will tell you. The brain is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it stays. The less you use it, the quicker it fades. And that brings us to the third golden habit for aging healthily: keeping the mind engaged. Now, before we get into the how, let me share something important. Losing mental sharpness is not a normal part of aging. Yes, the brain changes over time. Yes, some things take longer to recall. But true cognitive decline? That's not just aging. It's neglect. See, the brain thrives on challenges. It needs new information, new experiences, and new connections to stay strong. Without them, it slows down, not because it's old, but because it's not being used. So if you want to stay mentally sharp, focused, and wise as the years go by, you need to feed your brain just like you feed your body. Here's how. First, never stop learning. Now, I don't mean sitting in a classroom or reading textbooks. Learning isn't about school. It's about curiosity. It's about keeping your mind active and engaged. It could be as simple as reading a book, watching a documentary, or listening to a new kind of music. Ever hear an elder say, "I'm too old for that"? That's the kind of mindset that ages people before their time. The moment you stop trying new things is the moment your brain starts to slow down. Think about it like this. Imagine a road that hasn't been driven on in years. The grass grows over, the pavement cracks, and eventually, it becomes useless. That's exactly what happens to the brain when it isn't challenged. It becomes sluggish, slow, and weak. The good news? You can keep it strong just by staying curious. Learn a new skill, pick up a hobby, ask questions. It's not about being the best at something. It's about keeping your brain in motion. And speaking of motion, let's talk about another powerful way to keep the mind sharp: staying socially connected. See, a lot of people think brain health is just about puzzles and memory games. And while those are great, nothing strengthens the brain like meaningful conversations and relationships. Think about it. When you talk to someone, you're engaging multiple parts of your brain at once. You're recalling memories, forming thoughts, interpreting emotions, and reacting in real time. Every single conversation is a workout for your mind. But here's where people go wrong. As they get older, they isolate themselves. They stop making new friends. They withdraw. And when that happens, the mind starts to weaken, not because of age, but because it's not being used the way it should be. Ever hear of people who retire, then suddenly start aging much faster? That's because work, for many people, was their main source of social and mental engagement. The moment they stop interacting, their world shrinks, and so does their mind. The solution? Stay connected. Keep in touch with family. Call an old friend. Join a group, a club, a class, anything that keeps you engaged with others. And don't be afraid to meet new people, no matter how old you are. Some of the best friendships happen later in life, when people finally have the time to truly enjoy them. And here's another simple way to keep the brain sharp. Challenge it with small daily exercises. No, I'm not talking about schoolwork. I'm talking about little habits that make a big difference. Try brushing your teeth with the opposite hand. Take a different route when you go for a walk. Learn a few words in a new language. Play a game that forces you to think. These little challenges force your brain to create new pathways, and that's exactly how you keep it strong. Now, Let's talk about something many people don't realize is killing their brain power: stress. See, stress isn't just uncomfortable, it actually damages the brain. Chronic stress shrinks the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning. It speeds up mental decline, making people more forgetful, anxious, and overwhelmed. And the worst part? Most people don't even realize how much stress they're carrying. If you're constantly worrying, overthinking, or feeling mentally exhausted, that's your brain telling you it's overloaded. And just like a machine that's running too hot, if you don't slow down, things will start to break down. So what's the solution? Find ways to calm the mind. For some, that's meditation or deep breathing. For others, it's spending time in nature, journaling, or simply learning to say no to things that drain them. Whatever it is, reducing stress isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about protecting your brain for years to come. Now, let me ask you something. What's one thing you've always wanted to learn, but never made the time for? Maybe it's playing an instrument, learning a language, or even something as simple as trying a new type of cooking. Whatever it is, now is the time. Because the truth is, aging well isn't just about avoiding decline. It's about thriving, growing, and continuing to build yourself into the person you want to be. And if you can master this habit, keeping your mind engaged, staying connected, and managing stress, your golden years won't just be long, they'll be fulfilling. Now, we've covered movement, nutrition, and mental engagement, 3 pillars of aging well. But there's one more piece to this puzzle, one final golden habit that makes all the difference, and that is emotional well-being, keeping the heart light and the spirit strong. Because here's the truth. A strong body and a sharp mind mean nothing if the heart is heavy. If you're carrying regret, bitterness, or loneliness, it will age you faster than anything else. So far, we've talked about keeping the body moving, fueling it with the right nutrition, and keeping the mind sharp. But there's one last piece to this puzzle: the heart and the spirit. Because here's the truth. You can have a strong body and a sharp mind, but if you carry regret, bitterness, or loneliness, it will weigh you down faster than anything else. Aging well isn't just about how you move or what you eat. It's about how you feel. And the people who age the best, they aren't the ones who had perfect lives, free of hardships. They're the ones who learned how to let go, how to find joy, and how to live fully, no matter their circumstances. And that brings us to the 4th golden habit: keeping the heart light and the spirit strong. Now, let me ask you something. When you think about your past, what do you feel? Is it gratitude, pride, or do you feel regret, wishing you had done things differently, wishing you had more time, wishing certain things had turned out another way? Regret is a heavy burden, and the older we get, the more it can pile up. The mistakes we made, the people we lost touch with, the words we didn't say. It's easy to look back and wish we had done things differently. But here's what wise elders will tell you. Regret serves no purpose unless you learn from it. You can't change the past, but you can change the way you carry it. The difference between people who age well and those who don't: the ones who age well have learned to forgive. Others, yes, but most importantly, themselves. Because holding on to guilt, anger, or sadness won't undo the past. It will only steal your peace in the present. So here's something I want you to try. Think about one thing from your past that still weighs on you. And now, ask yourself, what would it feel like to finally let it go? Not because it didn't matter, not because it wasn't painful, but because you deserve peace. And speaking of peace, let's talk about another thing that makes all the difference in aging well: learning to appreciate the present moment. See, when we're young, we're always chasing something: the next job, the next big achievement, the next step in life. But as we get older, we start to realize something. The most valuable moments aren't in the past or the future. They're happening right now. Ever sit outside in the early morning, just listening to the world wake up? Ever share a quiet laugh with someone you love? Those are the moments that make life rich. And yet, so many people overlook them, always focused on something else. But the elders who are truly at peace, they've learned how to be present. They've learned how to find joy in the small things. And that's a habit we can all cultivate, no matter our age. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful ways to keep your spirit strong: connection. Because here's another hard truth. Loneliness will age you faster than anything else. It's not just an emotional thing. Science backs it up. People who are isolated age faster, get sicker more often, and even have a higher risk of cognitive decline. Yet so many people, as they get older, withdraw. They convince themselves that their best years are behind them, that no one needs them anymore. But that's not true. You still matter. Your presence, your wisdom, your kindness, it all matters. The happiest elders are the ones who stay connected, who call their friends just to say hello, who find ways to engage with their families, who build new relationships even later in life. And listen, if you don't have strong connections right now, it's never too late. Join a group, reach out to an old friend, volunteer, find a way to bring people into your life. Because we are not meant to go through life alone. And that brings me to one final truth about aging well: having a sense of purpose. See, aging is not just about staying alive. It's about continuing to live with meaning. And that meaning doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be about making millions or changing the world. It can be something as simple as being a mentor, helping a neighbor, sharing your knowledge, or creating something that brings joy to others. The elders, who are the most fulfilled, they wake up every day with a reason to keep going. So ask yourself, what is my reason? Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's a project you've always wanted to start. Maybe it's just the simple act of spreading kindness wherever you go. Whatever it is, hold on to it, because purpose is what keeps the soul alive. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. We started with movement, keeping the body active, because a body in motion stays in motion. We talked about nutrition, fueling your body with the right foods so that it serves you well for years to come. We covered mental sharpness, staying curious, engaged, and connected so that the mind remains strong. And finally, we talked about the heart, letting go of regrets, appreciating the present, staying connected, and living with purpose. These are the habits that separate those who merely exist from those who truly live. And now, the question is, which of these habits will you start working on today? Because aging well doesn't happen by accident. It happens by choice. And the best time to make that choice? Right now. So, if this message resonated with you, if something in these words made you stop and think, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What's one piece of wisdom about aging that you've learned in your own life? And if you found this video valuable, a like and subscribe would mean a lot, not just to me, but to anyone out there searching for ways to make their years ahead as fulfilling as possible. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about living longer, it's about living well.